Red leather, yellow leather, red, yellow leather.
I can't even do that. Ahoj, Bajikni.
Ahoy.
It's Jen and Hansa, and we are on the couch with some coffee, celebrating what?
The end of 2021.
Yes. 2022? No, but we are also celebrating 10 years since I arrived in this beautiful country. Hansa followed by about 3 months.
Yep.
But my anniversary, my 10-year anniversary is January 6th. So that's what we decided to have a nice little Ask Us Anything with you guys. You ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay. Who's more Czech, you or Hansa?
Meaning you or Hansa?
Meaning me or Hansa?
Oh, I'm clearly more Czech.
I mean, you have Czech blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
You speak more Czech.
I speak more Czech.
You've been here longer.
I've been here 3 months longer, and I get grumpier in day-to-day life. You're like way more optimistic than I am.
So can one become Czech? Because I think I have more genetic Czech, but
Right.
Jen has probably become more Czech
Exactly.
than I.
A lot of people ask about, like, are you Czech? Your name's Hansa. Did your American parents really name you Hansa?
Oh no, they did not. I have.
But this is your Czech name.
Yeah, it's my Czech name. I mean, you know,
Everyone needs a Czech
people
name.
people all over the world, they move to a new country and they pick up a name that makes it easy for the locals.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
that's what I did.
Nice. Like every Chinese guy in America is named Mike.
It's right.
Right.
Hi, Mike.
Right. I'm sticking with Jennifer. Call me Yana if you want.
It's so hard to decline. I just can't take it. So
I know.
anyway,
Was there a time when you ever regretted moving to the Czech Republic? No.
no.
Every day I'm glad. Every day I'm glad. Sometimes I'm cold, but I'm always glad.
Yeah.
I don't know how we made such a lucky choice, but we did. I would like to ask you what you think about our political system. Do you think it's better to choose from many political parties or just two?
I think many. I think it promotes more compromise and
Yes.
gives people more choice.
I think that the parties in the United States, they don't necessarily align. Like the Republican Party is pro death penalty, but pro-life. It's so like when you have an array of parties, you can get your values more correct or more accurate.
But I think it also comes down to if your system has ranked choice voting or something that allows you to rank your preferences. And that's another problem with having two parties and no ranked choice voting. Basically, you either have to do all of one or all of the other.
Kolik roku má Tobik? Tobik is as old as I am in this country. We got him when he was 5, and it was 5 years after I moved here. But according to his Ukrainian passport, he now has a Czech passport, he was born like the February that I arrived.
So he's gonna be 9?
No, he's gonna be 10 because I've been here for 10 years. He's gonna be 10.
That's like 70.
Someone mentioned in a photo that he looked like he was getting older, and I was like, shot to my heart. Why would someone say that?
We're all getting a
He
little
will live
gray.
forever. He will live forever. I would like to ask if you have experience with discrimination because you are foreigners. And how did you see this topic if you compare it with your experience from US and Japan? Because we used to live in Japan. Well, I think in Japan I always felt like a gaijin, which means foreigner, because I'm obviously not Japanese, and they're very homogeneous. Whereas
But did you notice discrimination?
not to my face. We actually sometimes didn't get to go in restaurants. They very kindly said no foreigners.
Very politely.
Very politely.
That wasn't most places.
No, they're lovely people. But in the Czech Republic, we blend very well. This is like Sudetenland right here. This is German Czech. And quarter of my family's from Montenegro, so I have Slavic background also. So we kind of blend. So we don't notice the discrimination. Now, I can't speak for people of other ethnicities.
Well, you spoke for me.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I have felt discrimination. Like,
sorry.
when I tried to get my driver's license and I couldn't hear the woman through the glass, and then I leaned in and Jen was trying to help me. understand the Czech, and the woman stopped Jen and demanded that I listen to the Czech and I respond, because she wanted to make sure that she could give me a language test at the same time she was handing me my driver's license after I passed the driver's test.
And there's no requirement. You'd already passed the driver's test.
No, so
they like to mess with us.
Yeah. So sometimes you get in those situations, but I don't think that doesn't happen frequently. And
no, and it's not always about ethnicity. I made the assumption that the discrimination was based on race, but it's not. Sometimes it's just like your language. You don't speak enough Czech. Why do I have to speak English? You're in my office, and I get that.
Yeah.
Can you recommend your favorite place with Czech food in Prague?
Do we want to do that?
Well, you tell me yours, and then I'll tell you hers.
Okay. My favorite place is Ubelinu.
That's what she said.
I'll see you there.
It's so good.
It is so good.
And they're so friendly.
Yeah. So up on Jana Masaryka.
Well, don't give everybody directions. Let them do a little work.
We'll cut that.
Where did all these people come from? You were a tiny channel with like 100 subs. What feels like a few months ago. I don't know. I have no idea where these people came from.
Search engine optimization research and reverse engineering the algorithm.
Welcome. You're all welcome here. Why don't you have kids? And have you learned the metric system yet? So, first of all, I always joke about not knowing the metric system. It's obviously the easiest system. It's just not natural because I think of myself as 5'7". I don't think in centimeters. It's weird. So I'm not that dumb. I just make a joke about it.
So, yeah, I think we've learned some of the metric system. I can pretty well do kilograms and meters. And
it's just getting accustomed to it.
And the first question, why don't you have kids?
That seems so aggressive. So aggressive. There were many questions. It was like,
no offense,
kids? Question mark? Kids? And this one was like, why don't you have kids?
Well, if we had kids, there would be no channel.
I would not have time to make a channel.
No. So you would never have heard of Jen.
We grew up in big families. I grew up in a very big family. I have 9 younger brothers and sisters. And now I have a dog. Okay, serious question. Did you ever want to quit learning Czech?
I don't think we ever wanted to. We just got overwhelmed with life sometimes. And I think definitely we've talked about it. There's like, you get to certain plateaus where you feel like you can't learn anymore and you're just frustrated. And then you have a breakthrough. Things start clicking and you start recognizing more words. And I think it just goes in these sort of plateaus.
The first couple of years, it's a trudge uphill without a lot of payoff. Because the language is not like English. I think in English you could know a verb and a noun and you could get an idea across. And in Czech, you have to know how to decline. And so like the barrier to entry is like 2 years of Czech. But then when you really start to be able to communicate your ideas, it's such a nice payoff.
Yeah.
What's the biggest change you've noticed in this city in the last 10 years?
I'd say the buildings. I think that they've done a lot to refurbish the facades, bring back the bright colors that I can only imagine, because all the photos are in black and white, but I imagine that Prague in the early 20th century had, you know, these yellows and light greens and pinks and the pastel houses that you now see, or buildings that you now see throughout Vinohrady, Žižkov. Remember the building on the corner between Narodny Dům and Divadlo na Vinohradek on Náměstí Míru, where
yeah, it was abandoned.
There was
broken windows.
They had some big tarp advertisement over the facade, presumably holding the facade together from falling on pedestrians.
This area is prime real estate.
Yeah.
And it went 8 years just like empty building.
Yeah.
It's just prettier to walk around. The museum alone, gosh, the museum was dingy, and the park next to it was just like, you didn't want to walk through it. Now it's beautiful.
Sandstone, gold and green dome, and that park just on the east side of the museum is beautiful.
I would also say it's getting a lot more international, and you can get there's more availability. There's more Czech microbreweries. So you go to a restaurant and there's more than just Budvar. There's like lots of different variations. There's lots of international food. It's becoming a real international city.
I think so, yeah.
10 years, man. A lot changed. How is everything going with COVID restrictions? So I got a message. It was like, what you should know now that the state of emergency is over. And I was like, we weren't allowed to stay in restaurants past 10? I never do that. So I think mainly our biggest complaint was that, for example, during the summer, the government made a law that regulation, whatever, that you could go to a restaurant, but you had to be armed with self-tests, and that the police were going to come and check people's status. So being a good, resident, I went out and bought all these self-tests. And I think there was not one example in the whole country of anybody checking anybody's self-tests. So the government makes all these strict regulations, and then there's no enforcement.
Yeah.
No wonder nobody trusts or pays attention to what the government says. It's like, make a reasonable restriction and then follow up on it.
Right.
Zajímalo by mě, jestli se změnil váš pohled na Američany.
I think our view of Americans has changed, but I also think Americans have changed a lot in 10 years. A lot of things have happened back in America. So both.
I think Americans are... It's such a big country, and it's such an important country, and therefore it's a self-centered country. The Czechs have to know what Merkel is talking about. Or now Olaf Scholz, maybe. Anyway, the Czechs have to be aware of what's going on internationally, and the Americans don't, and so they're not. So I become a little bit more aware of what's going on internationally and kind of wishing Americans would be more like that.
Yeah.
Weren't you doing interviews with other expats? And if yes, when is the video coming out? I have been doing them. So my goal was to interview many different people, but then to do each video on a theme. And I've already done the first one, and I'll link it above, and it was about Americans who've come here to start businesses. So I do have some others in mind, like people who raise children here, what's it like dating here. So if you have any themes you want to hear about, please tell me in the comments. But yeah, check out that video. I'm pretty proud of that one. Do you miss your friends back home in Los Angeles?
This is a trick question.
Asks one of our friends in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and we do miss our friends back in California, and we're lucky enough to get back there every year or two. And
but I would say we have more fun when they come to Europe.
Right. Keeping score, I think it's the Walsh's time to come to Europe.
Everyone wants to know where we met.
Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, we met in Los Angeles. If you've ever seen The Office, we're like the Jim and Pam of The Office. We met at a really terribly boring job.
Actually, your sister was the receptionist, so not.
That's true. My sister was the receptionist. I was a graphic designer, as well as you. And he applied a couple months after I'd been working there, and we just kept each other sane during a very odd job.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Real boring, but then we decided life should be more exciting, and so here we are. So I wanted to thank everybody who sent questions in. I hope that you got a little bit more of an insight into our lives here. And please let me know if you have any other questions you want answered, because it might be about Prague, some big topic that I can make a whole video on.
Although we've got enough to make 6 of these videos.
We do. Maybe we'll do another one of these next month.
Maybe we won't solicit more questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Tak, uvidíme se příští týden.
Ahoj.
Ciao.